I'm Peter McCann, Northern Ireland correspondent with the Irish Farmers Journal. I'm at a conference in Portadown in County Armagh today, organised by the Farmers Journal in partnership with the Ulster Farmers Union, and it's looking at the future direction of the Northern Ireland dairy industry. One of the speakers speaking at the conference today was Dr. Laurence Shalloo from Teagasc. He works in Moor Park and is a Principal Research Officer in Animal Health and Grassland Research. Laurence, in the early 2000s, you undertook some research into the payment structure in the Republic of Ireland and how it could change to a solids-based system. What were the main drivers for that change at the time?
So I suppose as an industry, the main drivers were individual farmers who were, I suppose, producing milk that had high value, and they could see that they were not properly being rewarded for that milk compared to maybe their other farmers down the road that weren't maybe putting as big an effort into their solids and weren't getting rewarded for it. And essentially the drive came from individual farmers. And I suppose the important thing to note is that, you know, by changing the payment system, today, you're not going to have more money to give out tomorrow. All you're doing is reflecting better the value of milk for high solids milk and maybe penalising a little bit more lower solids milk.
But at that time, when the change occurred in the Republic of Ireland, was there much resistance from the farmer down the road who's lower solids, and also processors? How did they feel about it?
To be honest, yes, there was resistance. And to be honest and to be fair, it was change and maybe people being scared of change that was the big issue. Once farmers were informed about the numbers in terms of how they'd be affected, they become much less apprehensive. And it's like anything, having information, knowing how you'll be affected by a change in payment system reduces the, I suppose, apathy, reduces the worry, and people become more, embrace it more. So in terms of processors, no, processors were quite positive. Now obviously, politically, processors had to be sure that they were bringing their people with them. But once they realised that, they came on board quite quickly.
So if a similar change happened in Northern Ireland, what advice would you offer to farmers, and how long should this process be to get there?
So I would say that the process doesn't need to be that long at all. The first thing I would do is agree as an industry, and a day like today is very useful in that, in terms of agree within an industry what the way forward is. Once that agreement is in place, it's essentially about informing farmers and showing how they'd be affected by a change in payment system. The important thing is that different processors move together. What you don't want is one processor moving and the others kind of maybe gaining from that processor being more progressive. So I think it's an industry decision that has to be made. All processors should move in a similar fashion. And once that decision is made, it's about informing farmers. And I would do an exercise like informing farmers by maybe over the last 2 to 3 years, show them how they would be affected by the introduction of an A plus B minus C system or a differential payment system. So once they know that information, they become less frightened by it and they're more open to change. So I would make the decision at industry level and then inform the farmers as to the effect on their overall receipts by making the change.
And finally, Laurence, you said in your talk that it shouldn't just be a one-step change, that's it, that milk pricing systems should be evolving, changing the whole time. What do you mean by that, and how can they change more?
So like if you go back to the Republic, there's probably been 5 or 6 major changes. Milk was paid for on volume and seasonality schemes in the 80s. Then it moved to differential plus a constant, where there was still a volume-based component with the solids component. And then in the early 2000, it went to clean differential just on solids. And then since 2009, it's been on A plus B minus C. So that constantly progresses, and I'm no doubt there'll be changes in the future as well that are needed in the payment systems.
Laurence, thanks very much for your time.